Welcome back to Afternoon News. Now, many South Africans have used the recent public holidays to travel locally over the long weekend. So SA Tourism's new campaign, It's Your Country, Enjoy It, aims to inspire South Africans to travel in their own country. It's part of the existing Short Left campaign. To discuss the new campaign, we're joined by Sisa Ntshona, the CEO of SA Tourism. Thank you so much for coming through, Sisa. So let's start here. How does It's Your Country, Enjoy It differ from what we already know as Short Left? How does it enhance it?
Well, Short Left is basically the umbrella kind of message coming through. And what we tend to do is different during times. We will find messages that actually start to really enhance it. So this is about patriotism. It is about knowing your country. And we're actually saying that we want South Africans to travel their country, discover their country, and to be part of the activities that are happening here.
But you are addressing a particular problem, aren't you, in that, I mean, the Stats SA figures from 2016 showed a decline in terms of, domestic tourism, both as measured by day trips as well as overnight stays.
Absolutely. Look, it is all about disposable income. And essentially tourism fights for its share of the wallet, as it were. And when the consumer becomes tightly held, when you've got VAT increases, when you've got fuel price increases, inflation, etc., it does put pressure as to the decision-making ability of South Africans to travel certain spaces. We, however, want to make sure that travel is top of mind throughout, whether you are an adult already working or a child-going person, basically really consider traveling as more than just consuming a holiday, but rather also enriching you as a person.
So tell me then, how are you, as SA Tourism, working with your partners, I imagine, making it easier for me, a hard-pressed worker, to go to Tsitsikamma?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the tourism space, everyone's got a role to play within it. I often say that we are like choir conductors and make sure that everyone sings and plays the instrument in harmony on that side. South Africa is very blessed because there's something for everyone. So whether you are a very wealthy person and you want a 5-star experience, definitely they can be there. Or you actually, tight for pocket, want a 1-star, 2-star experience as well. So it really is catering for everybody. And you can get there by airplane, you can get there by bus, you can get there by car. So there's something for everybody in that perspective. So in our showcasing of South Africa, we want to make sure that we speak to the target audience and everyone can identify themselves within what we say.
To what extent does this phenomenon of people traveling to see relatives and perhaps staying with relatives as opposed to staying in, tourism and accommodation establishments, to what extent is it a challenge, and to what extent is it an opportunity for you?
Well, we see it as an opportunity, and it's a global phenomenon. We call it VFR, visiting friends and relatives, essentially. If you could just imagine as a funnel that the VFR, the visiting friends and relatives, is the widest part. That's where you get your largest numbers. We want people to consume or experience tourism gradually until they get confidence and have the financial well-being to actually start to stay overnight at establishments and hotels, lodges, etc. Day visitors are important to us. People going for visiting friends and relatives are important to us because wherever they may go to, you may go to visit your uncle who lives 200 kilometers away. At some point in time, you will consume products within that ecosystem that you're in, whether it's buying bread or visiting a facility or anything else. That's important because you start to see now how you get to spend your hard-earned Joburg money in another part of the country as well.
Sisa, as you come in today, we're reporting about what's happening on the N3 near Moy River. This is the second long weekend where you've had this situation of protests affecting the flow of traffic on what is really an arterial, one of the arteries of the tourism route in South Africa. To what extent do issues like those end up hitting you as Tourism South Africa, hitting the sector as a whole, where it hurts the most?
Sure. The President in his opening remarks at SONA talked about removing barriers, right? Enabling people to come visit South Africa both internationally and domestically. So the more barriers and inhibitors that are there, people think twice around it. So therefore, whilst this strike that you're seeing around the N3 has got nothing to do with tourism. It doesn't impact us because, again, you know, it's about flow of traffic, it's about flow of movement. And again, when I spoke about earlier on, is that everyone uses different modes, whether it's buses, whether it's taxis, whether it's cars or aeroplane. So yes, it does have an impact on tourism. And look, strikes is all about attention, you know, and in a long weekend environment, you inconvenience a certain sector that actually gets attention and everything else there. So we want to make sure that, you know, we become part and parcel of the voice that says, let's find solutions to problems, because the impacts of these things are just not what we see on TV, but there's also ripple down effects as well.
And I imagine that's compounded even further by the fact that the bus industry, including the long distance buses that many people do take when going on holiday, are also on strike.
Absolutely. I mean, you spoke earlier on about visiting friends and relatives. The biggest form of moving people logistically is buses and taxis. And once you impact those, the numbers start to fall backwards, because now it's about access, it's about reach as well, and if you don't have that into the mix, you've got a problem. So therefore, we are concerned and really involved bystanders in this, but we want to make sure that those are resolved quickly so we can get the economy up and running again.
All right, Sisanjona, thank you so much for coming through and talking to us today. That is Sisanjona. He's the CEO of SA Tourism, talking to us about their new campaign to encourage domestic tourism.